welcome to another round of the Grand Prestige of the World Elite Championship, and it is going to be here at one of the United States. We are here, of course, at the famous Watkins Glen International. This track has 15 corners. Track, it's not very it's easier than it looks. I'm kidding, that's a hard lie. It is trickier than it looks. It's very high tire degradation, so we are gonna see how this one is gonna go ahead and go. But yeah, tire degradation is gonna be high, the wind is gonna be tricky, and some drivers were still trying to find that perfect setup. So we'll just kind of see how it goes. Also a bit of reserve mania happening here. Quite a few reserve drivers jumping in from SWT to jump into WEC here today, including an entire reserve lineup for High Caliber Racing. Ducadono and Killswitch jumping in for High Caliber Racing. LFO for the first time has a second driver in the WEC seat. They have one of the new rookies in Dennis jumping in for the American outfit today. He will be competing. He's been doing really good. He's been on a really consistent string of results here in SWT. Now he's going to jump up to WEC. And we're going to see how tonight goes. It was even actually speculated that Dennis was going to be an Acura reserve here tonight, but since Acura has both of their main drivers, LFO did pick up the driver known as Dennis for the reserve role. So it should be interesting to see. And of course, Tall Man is still reserving in for that Porsche seat, and it should be a fun one. Alex also reserving in for Exodus Motorsports once again, so it's going to be a good amount of reserve. A bunch of reserve drivers having some good fun, some good times. It is reserve mania here at Watkins Glen. The wind has been a bit of a tricky one for some of the drivers, so we'll see how the wind plays into effect here. And we're going to take a look. So right now, it is still Whiteout leading the Drivers' Championship. And so we're going to see how that goes. We'll see if he can keep it. He's only ahead by 2 points. He is only ahead by 2 points, just ahead of Viper. And we're going to go ahead and just get into qualifying here very, very shortly. So it is going to be a very, very, very fun round here today. Looking forward to it. Watkins Glen is a historic track. It's a fun track. And Nuko is saying that his worst qualifying is coming up. So in the commentary booth today, it'll be myself, Patrick Coleman, AK Rekus, and we do have B23 who will be joining us here very shortly. He is just feeding his dog really quickly before we jump straight into qualifying. So we'll
those bastards. I am here.
There he is. Speak of the man himself. But yeah, so we're gonna see how tonight goes. It should be a fast and furious one here today. How are you doing today, B23?
Doing quite well. If only Paul Walker was here, then it'd be super fast and furious. But yeah, a lot of reserves coming up, like you mentioned, and it's a very difficult track. I think this is another track that where the tire wear, we said no track is going to be quite as bad as Barcelona as far as tire wear goes. This might be the second worst on the calendar right after that. I know a lot of people are going to be struggling with that today, but the solutions in order to try to ease the wear on the tires are very different on this track than to that of Barcelona. So even some of the people who were able to really figure it out and get on top of the tire wear issue in Barcelona, that might not translate over to Watkins Glen today.
Yeah, it is a bit of a different track, and the reason why the tire wear is so egregious on this track, similar to Barcelona, is for kind of a different reason as well. Barcelona has a lot of very sweeper heavy corners and a lot of medium to high speed corners. The issue with this track is that you carry so much momentum going into these turns. It's a very high speed track, so and you have less downforce generally because you want to maximize the top speed as we do get underway with qualifying. And then the high speed scrubbing is what really is going to put a number on your tires. It is easier on the front left in comparison, but I think this one is just going to be more of an all the way around tire management affair. Drivers are now exiting for their coil lap, and the Dragon livery is back for Watkins Glen. This time with Alex, he does have that Raging Dragon livery that we saw in Barcelona last week, and now we are seeing it here in Watkins Glen. So let's take you a run through our field. Current championship leader Whiteout is there. But he's only leading by a very small handful of points. It is only 2 points to the good. And if he finishes lower than Viper here today, then he is going to be no longer in the lead of the championship. So he's got a tough day ahead of him, but it is definitely very much possible. He is only ahead by 2 points. Comer is not here today, so unless Lucian DNFs here today, then we will see Lucian jump up the order and jump into the top 3. Nuko is only 1 point behind Lucian though, so Nuko could have a chance of jumping right into this P3 as well. Once again, it is going to be fun to see how these guys go. And then we're going to take a look at the constructor standings as well. So right now, it is going to be Exo AMR on the top of the table with 92 points. Acura with 80 as Lucian does begin his lap. Foxhound with 77, and then we got the rest of the group, which is Toyota, HCR McLaren, Barzio Porsche, and LFO Racing with 37, 22, 14, and 9 points respectively. Now, here's an interesting thing worth noting, B23. This midfield here with High Caliber, Project Zero, and LFO, they really can get shaken up here depending on the results, because each of these teams now has 2 drivers in their seats today.
Oh yeah, and especially given that there's so many reserves on the field too, you never know who's going to have a breakout performance in the upper class here and show out for their team. It's a great opportunity to show the upper class what you're capable of, as well as just as well as yourself, because racing is such a relative game that you're always measuring yourself against your most direct competition. So there's always a good way to increase that level of competition for yourself and see where you stack up as a result, and then and in doing so you could really impact a lot of teams' championships today.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of dark horses, a lot of wild cards. Insert similar word here, insert synonym here, but we have a lot of drivers that can really just shake up this entire order here today. JP reserving in for High Caliber as well. So we're going to see just how these drivers really get on with things.
Right. And Dennis as well. He's one of the people that I'm kind of curious to see just how he's going to perform in this class, because in SWT he has shown glimpses that he can be among the outright fastest guy on the track at times. And if not for the superb race management of the EXO drivers, that he would probably be right up there in the conversation with the Drivers' Championship. He's not too far off there either. Could make his way back in that as well, but I think I'm going to keep an eye on him in this class today to see how he shakes up in this order of things.
Exactly, and tire management is such a crucial thing, and now that both Dennis and Jamar, both of the LFO guys here today, have learned a very good lesson in tire management, because this track, like we said earlier, is going to be another very high degradation circuit. So another battle I'm going to be really interested in is just taking a look at the Constructors' Championship, we're only at round 3 out of 10. But, I mean, there's only 3 points separating Acura and Foxhound. So that was going to be a fun battle to watch. Viper and Whiteout, P1 and P2 in the Drivers' Championship, separated by 2 points after 2 rounds of the World Elite Championship here in the Grand Prestige League Super Formula. So we're going to see how the order changes. Will we see a new Drivers' Championship leader? Will we see some changes in the Constructors' Championship? This is already in. It's been said by so many people that this is probably one of the most stacked Super Formula seasons that we have had here in Grand Prestige League in a very, very long time. Because I remember the championship pretty much last season was between Nuco and Whiteout. Sorry, Nuco and Lusion for pretty much the entirety of the season. Neither one of them are even in the top 3 as it sits right now.
That's how you know how insane it is this season. Absolutely bonkers with the way that it's going. And, I mean, just the fact that you have this many drivers in the 18s already as well out of the opening laps of quali. You got, well, Dennis with an impressive P5 at a 19.3 thus far as well. Ahead of the likes of King No Skill, Illusion, and Nuco. I do expect to see that order change up a bit, maybe a few more times before the end of quali here, but very impressive opening laps from everybody, and just the margins between them. You got a few within a tenth of each other up at the top there.
Yeah, that exactly. So we're gonna see, and it is a full race today too. So we do have the full 14 drivers racing here today. So everybody has got 2 drivers as part of a team. You got a full team in each, or each team has a full set of cars. There we go. That's how English works. As the drivers make their way down here into Sector 2, coming into Sector 3. Oh, I think we had a bit of a spin. I think that might have been from Viper having a bit of a spin, and he returned to the pits there. So MayJP not having the greatest of qualifyings as it sits right now. A lot of drivers did have some pretty strong confidence coming into today, but during practice, that confidence did waver a little bit. So, and this driver right here, F16, is one such driver who was really confident pre-season about this track, but he said that there's definitely work to be done coming into Watkins Glen due to the tire degradation. And here's another thing too, is that I know we talk a lot about the reserves, the reserve drivers, you know. You got Dennis, you got Ducadono, you got, I mean, Alex is technically reserve, although he was already in WEC anyway. But you have a lot of reserves here today, right? But another thing to note is that I think about 50% of the field here today is a rookie driver. So a lot of them probably don't even have experience on this track in league racing. Obviously Ducadono has, Rogue does, Whiteout, Viper, Alex. A lot of these drivers do, but you got drivers like F16, Tallman, possibly MayJP and Dennis, and probably J-Mart as well, who have never done this track in Super Formula League racing. So it's a totally new experience for some of these guys coming in.
Yeah, quite the chasm of experience between a lot of these drivers. It seems outside of the couple, like you said, Ducadono and Rogue, you're either a top tier veteran level driver or you're a rookie, potentially making your debut on this track. So that's going to be a lot of pressure for both parties involved, given that it does seem like it's shaken up to kind of be a money race for how the season's been shaken up.
Here's the thing about this season, right? It feels like every race has been a money race.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we've had some really close calls, some really tight runs to the line, some really good podium fights. I mean, we saw last week in SWT at Barcelona where Shifty almost got a podium for LFO Karma, but his tire management just gave out on him right there at the end. And then you had that really impressive last to podium drive there as well. So and then also we can't forget about the absolutely dynamic finishes at Dragon Trail. And I think there really hasn't been that much of a gap between any of the finishes, really speaking. I think I think probably if I were to pick, the only one that was even semi-dominant was Barcelona in WEC. Everything else has been like less than 5 seconds between P1 and P2 at the end.
Really crazy too, because when you see on paper we were hyping up how crazy of a season this must be just based on the personnel we got going into it, but it's almost like you almost don't even expect it to be quite as good in reality as it is on paper, because it's almost too good to be true, and yet it's almost over-delivered in that regard. The photo finishes, the insane, like the comeback from the last podium was very enjoyable for me as well last week out. And I expect that not to change throughout the season, to have more iconic level races from various drivers in both classes.
It's also worth noting that the two teammates in SWT of Ducadono and Tallman, racing for different teams today, have the exact same time in P12 and P13. It is worth noting. So that is a very interesting one, to say the least. I love seeing these tie times, as they are just like, they're so equal on pace, and that equal pace is, as we know, is what started the journey of Tallman joining the Red Bull Adidas team for WC. But up here at the front, as we are down to about the last 5 minutes of quali, Whiteout is looking very strong here, looking to try to extend that championship lead. He's looking for pole position, but he's only 57 hundredths of a second ahead of Viper. And then Alex about 3/10 back. Lucian having a bit of a stronger qualifying than normal, but here's the crazy thing. Reigning champion is only down at P8. He is behind the SWT driver of Dennis. So, I mean, I know Nuko was saying earlier on that this was going to be his worst qualifying of the season. But Dennis, even still, even being close as he is to King, the driver that he was also expected to replace here for today, potentially. That's impressive for Dennis. A really impressive performance there.
You'd say too, because there are a few SWT drivers on this grid, and he is by far and away the fastest right now. We'll see if that can translate into race pace, but over 1 lap, Dennis is definitely the class of the SWT drivers on the grid today, with a 1:19.1. That is very rapid, and yeah, looking forward to see if he can continue that momentum into next week's SWT race as well. As we know, having this extra race of experience in the upper class can pay huge dividends by the time you reach the SWT race. Just the experience alone, being on track for an extended race distance, can really help, what's the word, kind of build a callus in your mind to just the sheer amount of laps you're doing over and over again. It kind of eases the fatigue mentally of having to do it.
Exactly, and I think trying to keep focus on this track is going to be a key factor, as now we're down to the final about 2 minutes of the race here, so it's very much going to be the final mad dash for these qualifying laps as we go through here. And we'll see, now it's only 4 thousandths of a second between Viper and Whiteout, the two primary championship protagonists, separated by less than 5 thousandths of a second. It is fine margins here, as these guys are really about to go ahead and give it their all for this final lap. And here's the thing, Whiteout is ahead, so he is going to be putting some dirty air towards Viper. Oh no, that's not Viper, that's Tallman. Whiteout does have King ahead though, so that could potentially give him a bit of a tow here. And he is going to go ahead and burn everything to the line. We'll right on board now with the championship leader, as he's going to make his way down into turn 1. It's getting a little wide, using a good amount of the curbing there just to keep some of that straight line speed, and he is burning the overtake. And here's the thing, compared to Barcelona, you're going to see probably the overtake on these quad laps just burn pretty much most of the track, because it is such a high speed track. He is down by 700ths on the dot, and even through the chicane he keeps the overtake pinned, and he is still keeping the overtake pinned, and he does let off of it now coming through the boot. but he
Ooh,
does touch
he bit on
grass,
the
and that
grass.
might be the end of his lap. Let's see if...
Yeah, he gets off the OT. Oh, he's back on it, actually. He's still going for it.
Yeah, Viper is only about a 10th. He's down by a 10th, so he's not improving either. So it might be Whiteout getting another pole position, and Nuko and Dennis are done. So Nuko only down in 8th.
Wow.
Yeah, so he's going to be done. He won't be able to get another lap done in time. Whiteout will be the first one to come across the line as the timer is about to expire for quali, and it is done. And it's not an improvement, but are we going to see Viper improve? Viper, I don't think is improving at this point. He wasn't improving when we checked in on him earlier. Yeah, he's not improving either. He's down by 3/10 on this lap. So this is probably going to be all she wrote for Viper.
Yeah.
We'll see about Alex. Alex will be the next one with that dragon, that Raging Dragon livery. We'll see what he can do. Can he put this car closer to the front? He's not improving either. I don't think anybody's improving at this stage.
Oh, maybe Whip. That might be the only... Yeah, King's not going. Whip's the only person left on a flyer, and he's down 2/10 as well, so not improving for himself either. Does look like Nuko is on one last flyer. He's on the OT as well. So just taking a look.
Well, he's on the outlap, so that's not going to...
Oh, he is indeed. True.
So, yeah, that's going to be it for qualifying. MayJP just came across the line, and that is going to be the end. Only driver left, but even if Jamar does improve here, he's on the outlap too, and with a penalty, so that's not going to be an improvement of any sort. And MayJP going to be P11 on the day, so he is going to go ahead and just... Yeah, he's going to be in P11 just outside the top 10, about 68 milliseconds out of the top 10. But look at that gap between Viper and Whiteout, 4 thousandths of a second. That is so tight. As we go ahead and run through our quality results once again, and here they are. So Whiteout will take pole position by a very slim margin. I think it's the slimmest margin we have seen all season, and then it is going to be Viper, aka Adaptive Inc., and then Alex, Lusion, Whiplash, King, Dennis, and Nuko rounding out the top 8, and then we have F16, Rogue, MayJP, Ducadono, Jamar, and Tallman rounding out the field here today. So here's the thing: it was a very good qualifying session indeed, and that is going to be absolutely insane stuff here. But here's the thing, qualifying is about getting that one good lap in. We got 47 of them coming up.
Yeah, now it's all about translating that into consistency, and can you execute your plan, and can you be adaptable if that plan ends up changing, because things could change very quickly depending on the tire situation or an opponent's alternate strategy, potentially throwing a wrench in your own. And yeah, another classic quali session here today as well. Like the gap between the top two guys, and these are the top two guys for sure in any regard. So when those two guys are separated by this little, it almost makes you think this is the limit. Like it's not physically possible to go faster than that, maybe, because there's nothing in it, and you know they were on the absolute limit in order to get there. And we saw when they tried to push just that tiny bit extra in order to improve that time, they over pushed a little bit. You know, it's so easy when you're on the limit to step just a little over. We saw Whiteout touch a little bit of grass. That's enough for a tenth, let alone a couple of thousandths, which was the margin he was working with. I think even blinking your eye would take way longer than 4 thousandths of a second. I'm not sure how long that takes, but I'm sure it's way longer.
Yeah, actually,
as these guys are setting up.
I think we do have a... Well, we did lose F16, so I'm curious to see what happened there. Some things were saying that the lobby might be broken. Yeah, I'm not too sure. That is interesting, to say the least. Hopefully it's not a lobby issue. Hopefully we don't have to reset, but we'll see. I mean, tech issues, as we know all too well from Kyoto about a year and a half ago, we know the tech issues can really just show up the most inconvenient timing.
Still fun. Erased from history, luckily for our sakes. Oh, and we do have F-16 returning to the lobby.
Okay, so here's a scientific fun fact. The average blink is about 400 of a, or sorry,
Oh, way
400
longer.
milliseconds. So about 0.4 of a second is the average blink.
Oh, 4/10. Yeah, that's a...
Because there are 4,000 of
blinking
a
is
second.
slow.
I can't even think of anything with that little of a time gap. Oh,
yeah, so
Illusion
the
has
margins
left.
here are nearly inconceivable to the human mind. Yeah, he has left as well. It did look like he was loading into the lobby, but I guess I don't know what's going on. Oh, we got one. So either people are dropping out to go change their oil one last time real quick or something, but more likely we might be having a couple issues here, given that one of which is a league admin and one of the championship protagonists. I'm sure we'll give it a extra couple of minutes to make sure everyone is set and ready to go.
Yeah, it was saying, he actually even just said in the YouTube chat that it wasn't actually letting him join the race itself. So,
Oh, interesting.
to be able to race, you need to be able to actually join the race. You need to be able to hit this enter course button that's on the screen, and it was not allowing him to actually do that. So, yeah, that's not good. Okay, so I think it was just a quick little bug that we had. So, I think it's all situated. We're gonna wait for Rogue to jump back in, and then we'll have our full lobby of drivers. Rogue is still broken, so that is unfortunate. Hopefully we'll be able to get him back in, but in the meantime I do want to ask, how's everyone doing today in the chat? Have you guys having a good day so far? For some of you, your day is probably getting closer and closer to the end. It's probably late afternoon or mid-afternoon or even in the evening for some of you guys. I know for you, B23, it's pretty early in the morning. Here, it's pretty much right at the afternoon. So, how are you guys doing in the YouTube chat today? I will speak for myself. I'm doing pretty good. Got a busy night at work later on, but for right now, I am here at the best place you can spend your Sunday morning, and at the Grand Prestige League. Good racing, good times, good people, and just from getting to know these drivers, like, I've been spending more time in the drivers on race day than I did last season, and it's a lot of fun watching these guys practice, banter, show off some liveries that they don't use in competition. So the game froze when the replay happened. That is an interesting one. So I'm gonna ask you this, B23, as we're still waiting. Since football is out for a while, until about August or so, Formula 1 doesn't come back for another few weeks. NASCAR and IndyCar just got back in. But is there any particular sport that you've been watching during the off season of F1 and football?
Honestly, I've just been rewatching a lot of the football because, as people are probably familiar, my team is the Seahawks and we just won the Super Bowl. So I've just been rewatching a lot of highlights from this season, and it was an insane season. But honestly, now my two main sports is American football and racing, specifically Formula 1. I don't watch that much of other race series either anymore. I used to watch NASCAR growing up because that's what was on, and it's real nice, real American like, so I watch NASCAR sometimes. But this season I haven't really been too up on the recent stuff. But yeah, I just taken a little mental break too, because the football season stressed me out. Last F1 season stressed me out. I didn't really like any of the way that championship was going. So hopefully now we got a really good football season in. I'm looking forward to a really good F1 season. Hopefully it's a Ferrari versus Mercedes type of thing. I'd be really, really happy with the George Russell championship. That's my prediction. I would also be ecstatic with a Charles Leclerc or a Lewis Hamilton Ferrari championship as well. So if any of those three guys get it, I'll be very happy with the season.
It'll be an interesting Formula One season, to be certain. I'm really going to keep my eye. I think Audi is going to be a surprisingly good team. They've shown some really good stuff in the preseason testing, so I'm really curious to see how they do.
Yeah, that's true.
And Cadillac as well. I mean, Cadillac obviously isn't going to be winning championships straight out of the gate, but they will be. It'll be fun watching them give it a go. It'll be nice to see 11 teams on the grid. And we are doing a lobby reset. So
probably for the best.
Yeah, because we were still having some issues with drivers getting into lobbies. So it's a lobby reset, everybody. We're going to go ahead and once we get the lobby code, we're going to jump back in ASAP to answer my own question. It's been a lot of esports. I also watch Rainbow Six Esports, but they just got done with their World Championship. FaZe Clan, the first team ever to go back-to-back and winning championships. So, but in the meantime, I've also been watching some Call of Duty League. And then watching my team get absolutely cooked there. So,
who's your team for that one?
Miami Heretics. I'm a Florida guy, so
yep.
Got at least root for Florida. FaZe Clan, also known as FaZe Vegas, now with a hot pink design, which I still can't really get over, to be quite honest. It's a weird one. It's almost like this purplish pink. But anyways, yeah, I've been watching that a little bit. I've also been watching soccer or European football. I've been watching that on occasion. So there's one of the teams that's in the Premier League, the Wolverhampton Wanderers, or Wolves as they're better known as. They have an esports team, as I found out. So just because they have an esports team that competes in Rainbow Six, Valorant, and a few other esports, I figured, you know what, might as well just watch them. You know, support the esports scene all the way around. And apparently, from what I heard, it's like supporting the Cleveland Browns. That's terrible. Yeah, although they did pick up some wins against some top-level teams. I mean, we tied, I believe it was Arsenal, and we beat Aston Villa. So, apparently...
Well, I've heard of Arsenal.
And and apparently their esports team, like the Wolves esports team for FIFA, is actually really good, because they beat, I forget what team it was. They beat some team like 8-1 in a single like 12-minute match. So we're also just waiting for the lobby to get rehosted and reset. And there it is. We do have a new lobby code. So we're going to go ahead and just jump straight on into it, and then we'll get back to racing action here shortly. And it does help that Florida does have two like Major League Soccer teams. And so I think I must have typed in that code incorrectly.
Oh, I gotta find it myself here. There it is.
It's in the general, so there we go. I did type it in correctly. But yeah, so
I recall something about the Dallas Cowboys having starting a Rainbow Six team. It wasn't called the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know if they ever made it to the Pro League either, but they had the star as their logo.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like continuity, something
Continuum?
like that. I forget the... Maybe.
I think it was Continuum, because Continuum actually won championships. The Dallas Cowboys have not.
No, they haven't.
Not since like what, 1998 or something like that. It's before I was born. I know that much.
Oh yeah, they are. They're a funny group of dudes, Dallas Cowboy fans.
Yeah, and also
Oh,
to
there's the
kind of
code.
bring back up, it's in Discord General.
There it is.
And also to bring up the point, LA Galaxy from America is, I don't know a whole lot. I went to one match for the Orlando soccer team, which I think is literally just called Orlando Soccer Club. I know we also have, the one that's actually closest to me now is Inter Miami. That one's got Messi in it. That's pretty much all I know about it, really. And they also had a generational downgrade when it comes to their jersey design, or their kit design, whatever you want to call it. I
That
think,
always is unfortunate.
yeah, like, I like things with a good amount of color and some attempts at a design. Just going with a black primary color with like a pink logo just isn't it.
Yeah, and I've been disappointed with a lot of the NBA uniform redesigns in recent years too. I feel like just going overly simple and bland, or like doing something that's kinda old school looking but not quite in the right kind of way. I don't know. I just feel like there's something super special about those early 2000s types of designs from NBA uniforms and their logos and stuff. They were fun, and now they're just not fun. They look so corporate-y and flat.
I will say one of the big things that football has over American football is like the jersey designs, because a lot of the jersey designs, and now, and actually doing research, because I actually did make a Super Formula livery based on Wolves, primarily for the esports team, but I modeled it kind of after their current kit. Now, here's the crazy thing about for those you, I mean, most of our audience is actually European, so this will be for the select a little bit of our American audience that we have, who may not be super familiar with how soccer works, but soccer teams have so many different jerseys that it is ridiculous that they use them all for a season. Like, the goalie has a completely different color to the rest of the team. Like, and for Wolves in particular, I think it's like they have a primarily yellow and black jersey, but then their goalkeeper is like mint green. They also have like this blue and yellow one that actually works out, that looks really nice as like a third kit, and then their secondary kit's like I think their secondary kit's also like a mint green. So it's interesting colors, and interesting that because in the NFL, right, it's pretty much just like you flip the colors around practically, and even for the Call of Duty League, you really just kind of flip the colors around. Because for the home kits, and yes, Call of Duty Pro League does have home and away kits. It's actually pretty funny, but the pro kits are like primarily black with the two team colors. So in the case of my team, the Miami Heretics, it's like green and orange, or like a teal and orange kind of, but with black as the primary color. And then for the away kit, it's white, and then we flip it. So, but anyways, after about 10 minutes of myself and B23 yapping away about sports and esports and all the different stuff, now we're gonna get to the thing you guys actually came here to see. I mean, as fun as it would be to do a GPL podcast at some point, we are here today to do some racing at Watkins Glen, and round number 3 of the World Elite Championship is about to be underway. The engines are revving.
Grid.
The engines are revving, and here we go. 3, 2, 1, and it is lights out, and away we go. Down into turn number 1 we go. Whiteout's going to go ahead and get a very good lead, and he's going to hold that lead very nicely as the drivers just make their way on through. Turn 1 can be a bit of a calamitous one, but it does work out good for these drivers so far. No incidents.
Alex all over Viper.
No damage, but we do have a really tight battle here. As you said, Alex looking really punchy, but also looking very laggy at the same time. Oh, this is going to be scary stuff here. Him and a few drivers actually just go way over the chicane. And it's a clean lap, but it's definitely a very feisty lap as Nuko gets a half-second penalty.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people a lot of people just picked up that half a second penalty. Illusion, the only one in that little group that didn't pick it up. Illusion having a poor start, losing a couple places off the jump, and then battling it out with Nuko, losing out to Nuko, in fact, in that battle, but Nuko getting a penalty.
MayJP just turned into Illusion a bit there, trying to get out of the way of King, who did have the half-second penalty, so... Oh, and MayJP is off! MayJP has gone a bit into the grass there. So MayJP having a bit of a tricky start. He's going toe-to-toe with Rogue now. And,
yeah,
Oreo is kind of
getting
Yeah, JMR kind of getting ping-ponged between them there. Trying to go 3 wide in that corner. Doesn't usually pan out too well for you. As actually we're going to see JMR actually get a very good line. And he is up into P10. He started in P13 and now he's made up a few positions. Tallman just behind, and Tallman gets a little squirrely fighting his teammate Duckadono. His teammate in SWT and his teammate in WEC of ASJ just gets on past. Tallman is having a bit of a rough go here. I think he's got rear wing damage, and here in WC you have to pit in to get that fixed. So he is going to have a very rough lap.
Oh yeah. That's tough early on, especially front wing. You're going to need that front wing on this track in particular. This is a very, very... Oh, rear wing. Well, that's also important here as the straight line speed.
Now.
Oh, yeah. No, he needs to pit now then. You can't carry that damage.
Oh, the
engine is crazy. I don't even... It's really difficult to even put damage on the engine. That's a really hard hit in order to get that done.
Yeah,
a lot of things happening here as we got Alex having backed off of the top 2 a little bit here. The gap's kind of stabilizing there. Illusion, after the penalties ahead being served, finds himself now in a kind of comfortable looking P5. And then just behind King, and then there's a bit of group separation. Now we got Nuko in P7 with MayJP on a really quick recovery, now putting pressure on Nuko.
And that is looking to get one past his teammate. The 2 LFO cars going down into turn 1. And Dennis will tuck it behind. He's not going to fight his teammate here. He's not going to fight that one. So we'll see. He's going to go ahead and just tuck in right behind Jamar here. We'll see how the LFO guys do. This is the first time the LFO has had 2 cars in the WEC competing. Oh, they're going to go side by side. This is going to be risky business. But they are actually going to trade positions. They are actually going to go ahead and swap it through, and Dennis is back up into P9, and he's going to try to chase down MayJP for that P8, as there's a very nice little gaggle here. Tallman's in the pits, and he is going to go, I think there's a bit of a stop there for ASJ, trying to recover the Porsche, but now he's going to be chasing down J-Mart here. The LFO guys having some really good positioning here, and if they can keep it, they might be able to jump Project Zero in the team ratings.
And that would be really good for them if they could do that in their debut season. That would be quite the feat, especially given that Project Zero's been here a little while now too, getting their feet kind of settled into the league. And yeah, all over the place. There's a lot of interesting things happening. We see the 2 teammates at LFO working together nicely, is now Dennis putting pressure on MayJP, and these 2 are rivals in SWT, so this is kind of a representative battle here between these 2.
And F16 getting past Jamar there for P10 on the road. And now he's going to try to go ahead and chase down Dennis, who is having a pretty strong debut here in WEC. Trying to put pressure onto MayJP now. Like I said, this is a in-division battle. They have fought in SWT, now they're fighting it again in WEC. And that's actually another crazy thing about the season, is that there's a lot of SWT drivers pulling double duty. I mean, you got MayJP, you got Dennis now potentially going to pull double duty, Duckadono as well. And of course Tallman all pulling double duty in the WC and SWT.
Yeah, and it does kind of suck to a degree for the SWT guys when they do make the jump up to these WEC races, because they do have at least 1 week less of preparation for this particular one. And not only that, but being on the back foot in pace in general compared to these top guys. So they're not even at their best when they are on this grid in particular most of the time. But as we were saying before the race started, that by the time they do get to that SWT race, they're that much more prepared than the rest of their grid that it does help quite a bit, and it is worth the experience to be here, even if you're not quite as practiced or quite up to form as some of the top guys who get the full 2 weeks of practice for this particular track. Oh, big battle here between Dennis and May JP. They're now side by side. Dennis on the overtake. Oh, they're both on the overtake. Wow, very impressive. May JP just slipping ahead, but yeah, it results in a penalty. 1 whole second, too, for Dennis.
That's unfortunate there for Dennis. I mean, it's still having a pretty solid run of things, but that penalty is going to make things a heck of a lot more difficult, because that's going to easily allow at least F16 through, probably Rogue as well. So that penalty is going to hit, and yeah, F16 is just going to breeze on by. That's going to be no contest. Dennis now down into P10, and Rogue is going to have a pretty good run. Won't have enough to quite get the move done, but on lap 5 out of 47, we're still seeing some really good battles here. Alex now going to be under pressure from Whiplash.
Yeah,
and we got to remember, EXO and EXO Foxhound are fighting, as well as Toyota. They're all kind of fighting for positions in the overalls, or in the constructors. Acura, though, Acura's the team that really needs to kind of, I don't want to say step it up, because Whiteout's in the lead. I mean, you can't really go above P1, but I mean, they're going to have to really try to fight, because at this point, I think Whiplash would take the Constructors' Championship lead, or at least position away from this Acura team. Currently battling for P2 and P3 in the team's battle. But, I mean, it is Acura's return to the series after several seasons out, so. But to see them even fighting for these positions is pretty good. Although, granted, they do have a multi-time champion and a Whiteout in the driver's seat.
And it does look like Whiplash is using a pretty significant amount of overtake in order to reel Alex in. And we know it is personal between these two as well, because once former teammates long ago, now heated rivals. There are rivalries up and down the grid, of course, but this is a little more than just a friendly competition style on-track rivalry. These two really don't like each other for real. On and off the track, they don't like each other. And we can kind of see that in just the way that to stay right there with Alex. He wants that position off of Alex so bad, and if he does get that, I'm sure we'll hear about it in the Discord after the race.
Yeah, exactly. Whiplash is definitely a very vocal character, but so is Alex. Both drivers can be very vocal. They both can be very feisty when the time comes, both on and off the track. But one driver I'm going to be really curious to see the improvement of is our current championship, not championship leader, but reigning champion of Nuco, because he is currently down at P7, just barely pulling away from Major P and not exactly catching King.
Yeah, you know, what else I noticed about Whiplash too, he's using a little bit more tire than the cars just ahead and behind him. It's not a significant difference, but it is noticeable at this stage, maybe a good 5 to 10% difference. And you know, at this stage it might not show up as a big difference, but in a handful more laps from now, it's going to feel like a big difference when you're driving the car.
Exactly, and I mean, we know that this is going to be the second highest tire degradation track on the calendar. We do know that Barcelona is obviously the most tire degrading track on the calendar. We've already passed that point, so it is now this track, and then everything else is still going to be there's still going to be some tire abusive tracks, but not nearly to the extent as these two. Next track we had the Spa, which is really not known for its tire wear compared to these tracks, but tire wear is still going to be a factor, obviously, but not nearly as much as one. And I'm sure the drivers would like a little bit of a reprieve from these tire abrasive circuits, these very high degradation circuits. As King is actually now catching Illusion here, so King is using a little bit more tire. It's not substantial, kind of like how we were talking about with Whiplash earlier. But King is catching up to Illusion. This would definitely help Acura out in the Constructors' Championship. Trying to get that Spectre Acura machine up up into, I mean, they want to at minimum try to keep P2 today. Although considering how competitive Foxhound is looking with P2 and P4, that is going to be a bit of a tough one. He needs to actually try to get past Illusion for any chance to try to really get this position or try to keep this position in the team's championship. As King is now making his way through. I want to check back into the battle for P8 as it is now. Dennis now really trying to close in the gap to May JP, and he's done pretty good. He's staying with the SWT championship leader at the moment, and and here's the thing, Dennis is also making his debut this season, and I believe this is his WEC debut. So, I mean, fighting with somebody who's already been in this series for a little bit now is pretty dang impressive, honestly, for the Greek driver. And I got a strong feeling that if LFO needs a reserve driver, then Dennis might be a pretty solid option for this team.
Definitely, and in that livery as well. I really like this livery. I think ASJ made this one, right?
Yep,
the LFO
correct.
one for this class. Yeah, I mean, I like both of them in both classes. This one, it kind of reminds me of, like, it's got the kind of Red Bull thing with the goat on it, but something about that goat, it's just cool. That's a really cool one. It's a very good incorporation of the new sponsor that LFO picked up, and congrats to LFO picking up sponsors and getting some real stuff on the car there. That's really cool. I always love it when I see these virtual teams with real life sponsors and getting those logos on the car. It's just cool. Makes it feel real, makes it feel important, as it is to all of us.
Yeah, and actually, speaking of sponsors, I have been hearing little rumblings that potentially either at some point this season or even more likely next season, but maybe even this season, LFO might get a new massive either partnership or title sponsor. But one thing that we did kind of miss is that we do have a undercut attempt for Viper. He has made the pit stop, and he is come out in P9 at the moment. So Viper now gonna go and try to make the most of a brand new set of medium tires. So this will be interesting. How will the rest of the top three respond?
Yeah, and unfortunately for Viper too, the gaps before his pit stop didn't open up quite as much as you would probably expect on most circuits. So he is oh my goodness,
big spin!
That could have been bad for Viper. It ended up just being bad for ASJ, but it could have been even worse. Oh my goodness, that was a close one.
Getting a look on the replay here. So, oh yep, just touched a little bit of grass right on the boot, and oh, that was a big one. Yeah, I mean, Viper, count your lucky stars there, mate, because that almost ended in pure catastrophe. That would have definitely that would have cut his undercut a bit short. So that's not ideal. Accidents do happen in racing, though. I severely doubt, especially because Viper wasn't even touched. That will definitely not be an incident report, but you got to feel for F16 because he was having a pretty solid race there. He was really kind of keeping up with the rest of this pack, but just got absolutely just spun out. Touching grass on this track is not advisable.
Definitely not. But that and it kind of actually worked out for him too, because as I was going into is that it's unfortunate the timing and the gaps for this track in particular that he pitted into traffic, because when you're undercutting, ideally you want to come out of the pits with clean air so that you can get all the advantage of that pace difference from having brand new tires on, so that by the time your opponents pit, you will have made up the difference in time and maybe end up even ahead of them when they come out. But now he finds himself stuck behind some cars which are surely going to be slower, and they're fighting for it too, not letting him have it easily. Now he does get past Dennis, and now he is confronted with a P6 of May JP.
Yeah, but here...
Oh, May JP's tires are completely destroyed, so he's definitely going to hold him up if he doesn't clear him very efficiently here.
Well, I mean, he's going to come into the pit, so that's going to pretty much sort itself out anyway.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I mean,
and now clean air.
I really would have doubted I would have really questioned AJP if he stuck out for another lap, but no.
Yeah.
JMR's coming in as well. Duckadono's ready to come in. Rogue's ready to come in. F16's ready to come in. Tall Man, he had a pit stop earlier to fix that engine damage that he had. But the question is, Alex is going to definitely be the next one to pit in. I was going to ask who's going to be the next one to pit. Out of the top three, Alex's tires are by far the most used at this stage. Lucian, better than that, and Whiteout better than the both of them. So Whiteout can probably at least go another 2, maybe 3 laps. Maybe he can push it to at most lap 16 before he needs to pit. But that management is going to really pay dividends for him.
Absolutely, and we saw that come to fruition with Comer in Barcelona. Just managing your tires gives you so much extra versatility in the way you can use the tire. You can choose to push, whereas others are they're kind of a slave to whatever the car is capable of doing at that moment. But Whiteout has a lot of flexibility in how he wants to use his car. He can deploy a little bit more tire if he needs a push. He's saved a good amount of his overtake too. So leading the race is really the gift that keeps on giving because of how many additional benefits it gives you in advantages between being able to manage your overtake way more easily, giving dirty air to the cars behind you, hurting their tire wear. Being able to manage your own tires in clean air is just so much easier. And you can kind of dictate the pace of the race a little bit and the gaps and when you want to pit in. Because right now, he's seen what the drivers behind him are doing, and that's specifically to try to eat back at the advantage that Whiteout has. But Whiteout...
this just processed in my brain. Viper had to make another pit stop. So Viper is just now coming out of the pits again, so he must have picked up some damage. Yeah, I just now noticed that. I'm like, wait a minute, that's a Foxhound car, but that's not Whiplash, that's Viper. He's down in 9th.
Wow. Okay, yeah, that was a big wrench in it. So
I'm not sure what happened. We definitely missed what happened there. Now everybody's just kind of spread out here. Not a lot of battles. I was just riding on board with I believe it was Whiteout, and then I was just looking back through the field because we did have a round of pit stops, and then I saw that
Lucian in the pits.
Yeah, I saw that.
Alex staying out. Probably losing quite a bit of time.
Having Lucian come in before Alex is a bit of an odd call. Personally, I don't exactly agree with that one, but I mean, we'll see. I mean, championship-wise, it makes sense for Lucian to kind of pit first, but Alex is on more used up tires. I would have personally, like, if I was engineering these guys, I would have probably called Alex in first.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, maybe on the same lap, because they're not too far apart. And plus, maybe I do know that sometimes Gran Turismo has bugs and issues with showing me the exact accurate lap times of cars when I look at them. But based on the lap times it's showing me on screen right now, Alex is actually maintaining his pace really, really well. Very consistent lap times despite the tires looking the way they do. And even despite that level of pace consistency, though, there's no way you can hold on to that for much longer than what he's currently doing. I'm assuming this must be an in-lap. There he goes, right in.
Let's see what happened here. I think F16 might have had a bit of a slip-up somewhere, or was it? Actually, no, Rogue is the one that had to slip up. So, Rogue had a bit of a spin. Nicely done, keeping his car from getting any damage. So that's what happened there, a bit of a spin. I wish I found out.
And a penalty for Rogue.
I wish I would have known what happened to Whiplash, or not Whiplash, Viper. Because Viper's catching up to JP now, but that's really gonna hurt. It's gonna really benefit Acura though, that's for sure.
I'm not sure for who. Oh, just for Ducky, don't know. Wow, so yeah, quite an unfortunate race for Tall Man too. Especially as we know he is quite the solid driver, and I know you know this too for spending time with these guys, that Tall Man is quite the solid driver, and that a lot of this isn't even down to just like silly little rookie mistakes here and there or anything. It has just been sheer terrible luck for this guy. So feel very bad for Tall Man, as even when it's not in his class race, the bad luck continues right off of lap 1. And then back in the pits once more, fixing up some damage, getting some new tires. And Whiteout, your race leader, also now in the pits. Taking a new set of tire, we're going to assume it is the medium. And maybe in the upcoming rounds we will see some soft tires actually get some usage. But so far it is, once again, the medium is the star of the show. They just last a good amount of time compared to the softs. The softs just don't last long enough despite the grip levels they provide.
Yeah, that's true, honestly. And it's interesting to know with the tire compounds and such. Whiplash actually, I think, went for an undercut too, and he's actually ahead of Whiteout. He does older tires, so he's going to have to pit in again. Nuko and Dennis now making their way into the pits for brand new sets of mediums. Now, honestly, I do want to see the hard tires being used, but I mean, you kind of said it perfectly. Compared to the mediums, there's just no sense in running the hard tire. And I mean, like, it's slower than a hard tire really should be in the real world. Like, you're about a second and a half slower on those hard tires compared to running a set of mediums. And oh, getting spicy there from the LFO teammates. Coming out sprint with side by side as Dennis comes out of the pits. J-Mart really trying to fight it out, trying to hold on to the position as the two teammates are going to do a little bit of battling here. But with that being said, it could have been dicey. It could have almost ended in some tomfoolery and chaos. It did happen in Dragon Trail for LFO Karma between Iceman and Anti-Shifty. Those two coming to blows a bit, so I wonder if LFO is going to have the same thing again. Ideally not, but Dennis getting really punchy.
Straight through the inside.
Dennis getting really punchy and getting a really solid. Are going to continue battling. Whew.
Guys, and J-Mart gets it right back. Oh, but Dennis with the run around the outside, just a little more acceleration. Oh, and a little shake there at the end from Arroyo into the exit. This looks like Dennis has it for now. Well, that was a good battle.
That was, yeah, and they kept it pretty clean, honestly. They were punchy, they were scrappy, but kept it clean, so kudos to the LFO drivers for really keeping things nice and simple.
Whole big drift from Dennis, though. That's going to allow J-Mart right back in it. Dennis on the overtake to try to nullify the pace loss there, but here comes Arroyo. Through the S's.
Ooh.
And just tucking in behind. Dennis having to use a ton of overtake in order to stay ahead after the mistake in the exit there. Arroyo having used even more overtake himself, though.
I mean, these
Dennis
guys
holding on.
I feel like these guys are really gonna, like, especially if Dennis makes more LFO appearances throughout the season, then these two are really gonna push each other quite a bit. And it could be good. It could be good for them in the constructors, but it could also be kind of detrimental. We'll see how it goes. Right now, they are on track to overtaking Porsche in the constructors, so that'll be at least one step in the right direction for this team. They are currently sitting at the back of the field with only 9 points, but also, to their credit, and particularly to J-Mart's credit, this is the first time he's had a teammate all season. So, I mean, they're both working together. They're both putting in some pretty solid performances. And I know P9 and P10 out of a 14-car grid doesn't sound all that impressive, but when you consider that it's a rookie team with 2 rookie drivers, and when you got the top 8 being established veterans and legends with really just the exception of Whiplash, but even that Whiplash really pretty much has earned his place amongst those guys as a really, really competitive driver. With the top 4 teams just being so hyper competitive, pretty much you have high caliber, Porsche, and LFO really just fighting for best of the rest. Toyota's an interesting one, because Toyota's kind of like in that middle ground. You got Nuko, who is ridiculously quick, reigning champion, but then Rogue is having a bit of a rough start to the season. So they're extremely close to high caliber and the rest, only being 15 points ahead. But still a massive 40-point chasm to Foxhound in third.
Yeah, and Toyota is one of those historical top teams in this league, and so they're always on paper a top team. Just the fact that Nuco exists makes them a top team regardless, but it's kind of reminds me of like when Ferrari has an off year in F1, how it's like, yeah, they're still technically a top team because they are who they are, but they're just, the results haven't quite lived up to their standard or reputation. But nonetheless, a really solid team, and they're always going to be one to watch out for. Any given Sunday, they can put in really good results, especially your reigning champion, Nuco, as well as he is doing pretty well on his tires so far.
Yeah, I mean, Nuco, I mean, it'll be because there'll be probably one day where Toyota just kind of isn't around as a team anymore, but that's gonna be such a weird day. It's like if McLaren suddenly just decided to stop being a team. It's just gonna be so weird, kind of seeing the grid without him for once, and it'll be a weird day. But thankfully, it is not that day here today, and it is awesome to see that we do have a full grid of drivers competing in today's events. As Alex now is going to try to close in the gap, but he's kind of in a good no man's land. X's Motorsports in a really good position to try to extend their lead in the overall Constructors Championship. As now we do see that, here's the thing though, Foxhound is going to be probably pretty well annoyed considering how their day went. Viper obviously not having a race he would have wanted. He qualified second, extremely close to the front, but just got caught up in some mid-race drama. As the white flags are out, Tall Man will come to a crawl and let these guys on through, and then he'll pretty much tuck back in and get back racing. Whiplash is going to have to pit here pretty soon. He is on much older tires than Whiteout. Whiteout still keeping him well within his line of sight. He's got you in his sights, and he is going to go ahead and try to chase him down in that Spectre Acura racing machine.
Now Whiplash too, he's in a beautiful position to play the team game, but unfortunately his teammate has kind of found himself out of position to take advantage of that, because Whiplash right now would ideally want to hold up Whiteout. As soon as Whiteout does close this gap and catch up, Whiplash would want to cost him as much time as he can to help his teammate get back into this fight, or even overtake through some strategic kind of offset there. But it doesn't look like, not only is Viper not going to be in a position to take great advantage of that, but Whiplash's tires might not hold on to be able to keep him back for as long as he would like either. And as you say, as far as the constructors too, the EXO cars, oh, there's a yellow flag somewhere on the track. But the EXO cars,
I can see who that might be.
Oh, it's Tall Man. Tall Man in the wall, just staying off the track for a minute, letting cars get past. Very kind, very generous of him to do so in that manner. But the EXO cars are not getting quite the top end results that we would like to see, that we expect to see generally. But what we're very proud of the EXO cars for doing, I can say definitely as an EXO representative, that maximizing points outside of those like winning positions, having both cars in the very next possible highest positions and maximizing team points, they've done a really solid job, especially considering the weighting of wins in this point system. Wins are very important here in GPL, as Whiplash now does indeed go into the pits himself to shed those broken medium tires, coming out on brand new medium tires, assuming as soon as he crosses this line we'll see for sure. Yep, medium tires it is, and his teammate as well for another pit stop.
Yeah, exactly. Viper making another pit stop as well, so I wonder how the team game is going to work with this team. It's going to be difficult to play this team game, and I mean, you always are going to have that one kind of mulligan race, essentially, and this is definitely going to be that mulligan race for Foxhound. They are a really solid team. I mean, they got a really good lineup. Even last season, they had a really strong lineup as well, and them and alongside Kaizen, and I did see some Kaizen, or saw Kaizen Jedi in the chat a bit earlier. He made a few comments. He's actually rooting for the other newcomer team from Season 6, being Foxhound. And he also did say that the XO liveries were very nice. The Dragon liveries that are being run for this week. And they were run last week as well for SWT at Barcelona. So good to see Jedi in the chat. Hopefully you and the rest of Kaizen are doing good. Hopefully we see you guys back for Season 8. Because, I mean, I know you fought with these Kaizen guys for quite a while on the track, and they were definitely a really strong team on their debut last season.
Oh yeah, they were a very, very strong team, and it was a heated rivalry there, so definitely not surprised to see them rooting for Foxhound over EXO here. Would not expect them to root for EXO under any circumstance, but it's always good to have them in the mix and on the grid. They were a very strong team indeed. And appreciate the compliment to the livery. This was a special livery designed by May JP, and it has received a lot of really good reception. So appreciate that.
It's kind of like our version of Rexy now that we think about it.
Yeah, a bit, definitely. We didn't even have that in mind when we were making it, but it definitely does give that vibe for sure. Especially in green, we're playing around with different kind of iridescent color shifting kind of colors for the scales and stuff, but that chrome green we just ended up on, and yeah, it does kind of give that vibe.
I mean, I did always kind of jokingly nickname the XL livery as kind of like the Arizona green tea livery, because it does have the Arizona green tea type green, but seeing it like in this metallic color is a very, very pretty color. I do like it. Curious how it would look. And one color that I do actually kind of miss that was run kind of during the preseason testing or preseason qualifying while we were doing our stuff at at Spa. And it was actually created by this man here, and it was originally his team and his livery. But the Afterburner Orange original LFO livery.
Oh yeah.
That bright Afterburner orange was such a nice color, and hey, who knows? But with LFO, it might be their color next season. We'll see. LFO is a very interesting team just because of how free everything is over there at the American squad. You know, with all their contracts and stuff like that, or lack thereof, really. Just drivers can really jump in, because originally the two Project Zero Porsche drivers were LFO guys, I mean, it's been the story that we've told quite a few times now, but long story short, LFO is pretty much going to be that new team that is kind of like almost like the V-Carb of GPL, but also it's not Red Bull affiliated. We have a GOAT, and it's not a Bull for GOAT Fuel, good sponsor of the LFO team. But seeing them doing pretty solid work here, I mean, they're trying to fight it out, trying to get some really good points on the board, but I mean, we've seen a battle quite a bit here, but otherwise, it's really just been kind of an anonymous race for these guys. And honestly, that's kind of what the team needs. They need time to kind of build and kind of get comfortable, because both of these guys are rookie drivers here, and honestly, for rookies, either you want a super strong season, or you want a season where you can kind of build upon. And that's exactly what these guys are getting here.
Yeah, exactly. And it's nice to have kind of that pressure taken off, just being in that environment and understanding it's like your job is to just do the best you can. Your job is to try to get better as much as you can as well. You don't have to get wins immediately or you're kicked off the team or anything like that. It's very nice because some of these teams, there's a lot really high expectations and a lot of pressure on these guys to perform week in, week out, be really attentive on their practice sessions, and be really knowledgeable on how everything works with the car and with the league. And so it's good that there's an organization that allows kind of that freedom. And it's cool with their identity too, is this open-endedness to their kind of brand identifying elements and stuff. I like it that working with ASJ on some of those liveries, he was really playing around with so many different color combinations and stuff. So definitely in the future too, going to be cool to see what direction that ends up going.
And I know there's been talks about the future of this LFO team. I know LFO Karma does have that Karma team partnership in SWT, and there's new rumors circulating about potentially their WEC side potentially getting a team backing them, which will be really good for this team. It'd be good for any of these teams, and honestly, there's some teams with some sponsors. I mean, you obviously got the EXO team with a few of their sponsors on the car as well. The Better Mindset management group has been a part of with them for quite some time now. But you said it the best earlier. Just it's really awesome when these sim racing teams do get these partnerships, do get these sponsors with them, and it's good for the teams too. And it really just amplifies things. Because, I mean, every form of sport, esport or otherwise, is a sponsor fest. So, the more sponsors you can get, the better. And the closer you can get to your opponents, in this case, also better, as Nuko's trying to chase down King for P4.
Yeah, when it comes to a lot of, especially sports-related video games, not even like esports, but actual sports, quote-unquote simulation games like Madden or NBA 2K series, all those kind of things, like, just because if you're good at Madden, you're not necessarily going to be good at football. If you're good at 2K, you're not good at basketball just because you're good at 2K. But I appreciate that. I mean, these drivers deserve a lot of recognition, because with this game, these guys are actually like that. These guys are really that good, and these skills directly translate into real life, and we've seen countless examples now, from the Gran Turismo movie to the win in the top class of the real life Super Formula series, which is considered just a small step below that of F1. And so the path to Formula One now can exist through Gran Turismo, and is just a testament to the skill level these drivers have and how those skills actually translate into the real thing. And so these guys are deserving of all the recognition from real life sponsors and etc.
Yeah, it's actually insane. I mean, and here's the thing too, right, is that there's so many teams that were rumored to come in for Season 7. And I mean, this season alone we got, what, 2 new teams? We got, well, technically 3. You got the 2 LFO teams, and then you got Hellas Racing, which all 3 of them have had some pretty decent performances. Hellas in particular, in the hands of Dennis, has had 2 back-to-back podiums on debut in that series. And so, I mean, I think the Hellas team does have a very bright future. LFO as well. LFO is going to be hopefully a stable team. But unfortunately for one of the LFO drivers, Dennis is carrying some damage. He's got 2 points of damage, and he's getting a blue flag to let Whiteout on through. J Mart doesn't have damage, so the 2 LFO guys might be swapping positions here soon, although they've definitely really been fighting like rivals here in this race. So now we do see that Ducadono is just by illusion now. He did get past here the reserve for High Caliber Racing this time around, as Rogue is going to continue pushing on through. And Tallman, I mean, this is definitely a race to forget for the British driver. Watkins Glen is a deceptive track. It's not as easy as it looks. It looks like it'd just be kind of a straight line speed fest, kind of like similar to Monza, but in reality, it's not. I mean, tire degradation is still a pretty big factor here. It's not as bad as Barcelona by any stretch, but it's still pretty rough for different reasons too. Just because you're taking a lot of these corners at such a high speed that it just wears out the tires quicker.
Yeah, and your pre-race analysis of this track was spot on too. It's that you just have to carry so much into the entry of these corners, which is very different, especially to that of Barcelona, where the corners just kind of never end and you're pushing the tire all the way through the corner. This one, you're just throwing the car into it and hoping that that front left can hold on and kind of just guide you around the corner without exploding. but essentially these are like high-speed hairpins. And if they were just normal hairpins where you could brake kind of in a straighter line and then carry the momentum around the outside or around, you know, the corner, then it wouldn't be as bad. But you really got to launch the car into the corner because they're kind of wide for hairpins. And so the more speed you carry in, the faster you go, of course. But it's that's what makes it so hard on these tires. And am I seeing things right now, or is that a hard tire right now for King No Skill?
It's a hard tire.
Coming out of the pits in P7 right now. Very interesting.
He was using them in practice earlier, so I mean he's got some data on this tire, and we saw that the hard tire was kind of a bit of a wild card in Barcelona, so maybe it might be the same here. We did say at the beginning of the season that this track would be probably the only other track on the calendar where the hard tire might even be remotely viable. And I think that's definitely the case, and King might actually try to go to the end on this tire, which could help him out pretty nicely. He could outlast Viper. Viper's got to pit again. Whiplash likely will have to pit again. Nuko definitely is going to pit again, so...
Yeah, and Illusion as well. Illusion probably the worst out of the whole group, and Alex as well going to have to pit one more time. Yeah, I think this whole field's going to have to go at least one more, with the exception of King, who he does have some gaps ahead. It does look like if everyone pits ahead of him, he's not going to find himself in net P1 by any means, but he's definitely going to jump some positions if he could stay here to the end. But then it's a matter of holding on to that position on a wearing hard tire when the guys behind you are either on mediums or softs.
Yeah, and I don't think... I mean, we saw a little bit of the soft tire being run in Barcelona, but you're really going to see the soft tire later on in the season, and it's not like... contrary to the F1 games, right, where the soft tire is kind of like a tire you don't really want to touch. You do actually see the soft tire more often in GPL than you would in pretty much any other open wheel series on Gran Turismo, particularly just because the soft tire is pretty close to the medium in terms of durability on some tracks. I mean, you're definitely going to see it, and also not to mention next week at Barcelona or Belgium when we have a sprint race next 2 weeks from now. We have a sprint in Belgium at Spa, so you'll see the soft tires definitely used there. And then Monza is probably also going to see the soft tires being run at some point. Now, CGV, Circuit Jules Villeneuve, is a track I'm going to be curious about to see what tire we kind of see there. As
Illusion in the pits.
Illusion in the pits, yep. Illusion's in the pits now, swapping, getting a little splash and dash of fuel, jumping onto a new set of mediums that he'll try to carry through the rest of the Grand Prix. As he is now making his way out. Alex now going to probably pit in the following lap. Whiteout definitely going to have to pit in sooner or later. Nuko also going to need to pit in. We'll see if King can really catch up here. I mean, it could really help King out, but I mean, King is now a lot closer. He's about 4 seconds now to Illusion, so might be able to get up at least one position. We'll see. Depends on when the rest of these guys make their pit stops.
Now, just based on where Illusion came out and the gap that he had to Alex, I'm thinking that if Alex pits now, he might end up in traffic very close to a Viper and a Whiplash, as we got our race leader Whiteout in the pits as well now.
Alex too. Alex also
Alex
in the pits.
as well, yeah. So Whiteout, I mean, both their tires were destroyed, but Whiteout doing the best out of everyone on tire wear so far. Of course, that's a little easier to do from P1, but it's very impressive nonetheless. Not an easy task whatsoever.
Oh, definitely not. And I mean, tire management is
Whiplash.
such a... Oh yeah, Whiplash is back up into P2 now, so I mean, he's made a pretty strong recovery. I think he's had more pit stops than anybody here on this field, so it'll be interesting to see how he can go ahead and push that Foxhound Speed Group machine. Trying to chase down Whiteout, but Whiteout did make a pit stop, and he's on fresh mediums Whiplash will need to pit again. Nuko into the pits as well. King is up in the 7th, or he's up in the 6th. So just add a Nuko on those hard tires. I really have not seen any damage on him at this point. So could be a very good run here.
3-second penalty for Alex in P3 with Viper, only 1 second behind. That would be a pit lane infraction, either for the entry or the exit, and that is going to be massive for the context of this race, as he is now going to lose the position to Viper. There goes Viper. And now Alex burning up his overtake off the line to try to get back up to speed after serving that penalty.
Yeah, and that's a rough one there. This track is one of the roughest when it comes to that pit lane infringement. I'm honestly surprised we haven't seen more of those, to be quite honest with you, just because this is a track where it's really easy to get that pit lane infraction. And now Viper's going to come on into the pits. He's going to swap to a set of mediums that he'll try to carry for the rest of the race.
So that's good news for Alex.
New Michelin's on, and a little splash of fuel, and he's back out into the race.
Wow, so Alex may have gotten away with that one, and that's not the type of penalty that you can
get away from easily.
You know, you can get away from. Yeah, so he got pretty lucky, just given the circumstance and the pitting intervals of everyone at the time, that he really didn't lose out too much there. And yeah, like you said, it's very easy, and certain tracks are way easier and way harder than others with those pit lane entries and exits. Especially some of these tracks have exit lines that just put you right in the path of crossing that line as soon as it puts you out there. But regardless of how easy or hard it is, it's one of those things you just can't do it. Not in a grid like this. It'll cost you too much time. We see one of the rare instances where Alex might actually have gotten away with it this time, but generally speaking, it's something you don't get away with.
Yeah, those penalties are straight up brutal on this track. I mean, I noticed it's kind of an American track thing. It's just like the track limits on some of these American circuits are really rough. I mean, Road America is another one. Or sorry, not Road America, Road Atlanta.
Oh, and Atlanta. Oh, Atlanta is exactly what I was thinking of too in my head when I was describing the exit. Oh my goodness. Like, who did that?
Yeah, Road Atlanta is a rough one when it comes to that.
I'd like to have a conversation with whoever put that exit line looking like that.
Just a chat.
Yeah.
Just a chat.
So, you, sir, are not a kind person.
I'm trying to think, is there any other track that's equally as egregious? I don't think so. I mean, I think Road Atlanta is as egregious about the pit lane thing as Barcelona is for tire wear. Red Bull Ring. Red Bull Ring's another one that I've heard is pretty tough for track limits. Or not track limits. Well, definitely track limits as well, but also pit lane infractions. Heard the Red Bull Ring's pretty bad about it.
Yeah, so I can't think of any other off the top as far as putting you over the line, but one I can think of is just dangerous is that pit lane exit line in the Nürburgring GP track, where you have your own lane right in the path of danger in that turn 1 hairpin.
Yeah, and I mean, I know in F1, Australia is one that has a pretty sketchy pit lane. Hopefully we see their track coming to Gran Turismo at some point, but we do have a battle right here, right now, for a really good position. It is going to be Nuko and King.
Ooh.
Acura and Toyota. This is going to be a fun one to watch. They're going to make their way down the back straight here, making their way up into turn 1. And here's the interesting thing. Nuko's on brand new mediums, but King is on the hard tires, so he'll be able to endure longer, and he can fight harder than Nuko can on this set of tires. Still about 12 laps to go, including this lap. No, there's a yellow flag. Who has gone off?
Dennis.
Oh yeah, so let's see what happened to Dennis here.
I think it might have said yellow flag because he was getting off the track. Oh, he did spin.
Yeah, he just kind of spun off of the off that curbing there, but bit of an interesting run as MayJP and F16 both come into the pits. MayJP just leaving the pits on a brand new set of mediums. So he's going to come out in P8. F16 going to be not too far behind. As Jamar is getting the blue flag for Illusion, which he'll give up at the opportunity, but Illusion's a bit far back to go for it. I mean, they're barely even really. I mean, they're on the same straight, but I mean, almost on two different ends of it. And there's think of a fight going on back here. King and Nuko are still trying to scrap it out for P4 on the road. And remember, this is going to be a crucial one for Acura in the team battle, because right now both of the Acuras are finishing ahead of both of the Foxhound cars, so they're going to try to keep that P2 position. And Nuko will want to try to bring Toyota back into the fight. Is definitely going to want at least to try to outscore one of the Acura machines, as he's now pushing his way on through. He's going to go ahead and give it a go, but it is so difficult, especially with those hard tires holding on as much as they are. And it's about 11 laps to go here in the race, and things are really going to start picking up here. We're going to see Nuko really try to pile on the pressure, burning a good amount of overtake. Both drivers burning the overtake in defense. And this 4D high-speed chess match between King and Nuko still raging on lap 37.
Yeah, Nuko is right there, but as soon as he hits these corners, all that straight line slipstream becomes dirty air. And yeah, and you see the detriment right there. It's always funny how the last corner is one of the heaviest in the last few tracks with the dirty air, but the straight right after is your best chance of overtaking in the slipstream. So it's like you do all this work through the lap to try to stay in position to get the overtake done on that main straight, but then that last corner shows up and just catches you out with the dirty air, creates just enough of a gap for the car ahead to where you can't quite reel them in again by the end of that straight. And it's a frustrating little scenario to be in when it happens lap after lap after lap. And now we kind of see Nuko in that position right now, falling back just a little bit, kind of struggling to stay within range of King ahead. But this is about the end of that dirty air range, so that's about the range we would expect to see. In order to break in beyond this range that he is currently sitting at, you have to have a pretty decent pace advantage over the car ahead. If you have the same pace, you're not going to be able to close much beyond this gap right here.
Yeah, and I mean, it's gonna be a difficult one, because King is no slouch. I mean, granted, he's, at least in this season, he isn't at the level, or he hasn't been on the level just in the results as your whiteouts, your illusions, your Vipers, etc. But he is still a top driver here at the Grand Prestige League, and I don't think anybody can really dispute that one. So King, he's not going to make this easy for Nuko. And here's the thing too, I mean, it's still a good ways back, but he can really try to back Nuko into Whiplash and try to make things a bit more difficult for the Frenchman. But King is looking for what might be his best result of the season. P4 looking very strong, less than 10 laps to go here on the race. And a very, very good run here in Watkins Glen. The King is making his way back to the front of the field. Illusion is up by, he's up by quite a considerable margin, so I think the top three might be locked in as it sits. But we also haven't really given a lot of credit to Alex, because Alex has also done really well here today. He's up in a P2 pretty convincingly as well.
Yeah, extremely good job from him as well. And yeah, it's kind of been a quiet race for him, and if you're Alex, that's exactly what you want, because we're not used to him having quiet races, usually for good reasons or for bad reasons. So if you're in P2, having a quiet race is probably the best thing you can do at this point in time with Illusion, and then both kind of having comfortable gaps ahead and behind, so there's not too much pressure tires and bring the car home, and you're going to end up with a really good team haul of points here today. And for Exo's sake, they're probably hoping that Nuko can get past King No Skill as well to take a couple points off of Acura, who themselves are going to come away with a huge team haul of points, given that Whiteout there in P1 is going to have at least 35.
Yeah, and I mean, it's early stages, but you want to kind of build a team championship momentum pretty much throughout the entire season. You don't ever want to really start falling super far behind from your teammates or from your rival teams. So, like in the case of Hacker, they don't really want to fall super far behind. And actually, as we are now noticing that Tallman has actually retired.
Whiplash crashed.
Oh no, another crash for Whiplash. So actually, yeah, let's go and check
with
it
damage.
out.
Yeah, he's got damage on with new tires, so that's really bad as far as the interval. You never want to pick up damage, of course, but if you're gonna pick up damage, ideally it's at the later end of your tire stint, so that the intervals still work out.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yikes, yeah, that'll happen. And so that'll put him back behind his teammate there, Viper, who's now being chased down by the Toyota, the lapped Toyota of Rogue.
That's a funny one.
Who's gonna make a
go
move.
for it. He's gonna send it on through, and that is still P13. As Tallman did retire a bit earlier, unfortunately. He was having a very rough go at it, but he did learn some lessons that he could take with him to his race next week in SWT when he races for Red Bull Adidas. Kind of a rough race for both Ducadono and Tallman here. Really not too great at the moment, but I think even at this point, I think even with as long as both Jamar and Dennis finish, I think they will jump Project Zero Porsche in the constructors. I think it won't be by a lot if they do even jump them, but it's going to definitely close that gap.
And now we got another lapped car of May JP chasing down the race leader of Whiteout. I think there's kind of funny scenarios we got going on here. Given that that's the race leader, though, we probably won't see as big of a push to unlap himself here. Rogue having to really kind of toeing the line of legality there, because you are allowed to unlap yourself, you are allowed to pass a car that has lapped you, but unless you kind of maintain your pace advantage and keep growing that gap after you've passed them, you're instantly back into blue flag territory and technically have to get back aside, which is what we did see Rogue do. So hopefully for his sake he is not going to be reported for blue flag infringement, as I actually do think that he executed that legally.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing though too, I mean, just looking at the gaps, Whiteout didn't even lose anything. He's still 13 seconds ahead of Alex. Alex himself is about 13 seconds ahead of Illusion. So I think there's really kind of no harm, no foul here, but this battle here, as we're down to the last couple of laps here, about 6 laps to go, Nuko and King are still fighting it out, so we're going to ride on the Halo cam of Nuko as he is going to go ahead and try to chase down King. This is this is definitely King's, probably his best result so far this season. And I mean, this has just been overall a really good race here. I mean, both of the Foxhound cars did run into their own issues, but a good part of racing is just being in the right place at the right time. And for King, that's exactly what it was. He was in the right place at the right time. And now you could say, yeah, oh, there's luck involved because, you know, right place, right time. But keeping that consistency to keep yourself and to keep that advantage, because you can gain an advantage and instantly lose it, right?
Yeah.
Even with about 5 laps to go, there's still a possibility of that happening. But it's been a really, really good showing here from the German driver. For both German drivers, actually, come to think of it.
Yeah, absolutely. There is definitely such thing as you can find yourself in a fortunate scenario where you luck your way into a good spot, but you can't accidentally hold that advantage for a prolonged period of time. There is no accident involved there. It takes a lot of skill to maintain this, and especially, we may be forgetting there is a tire difference here, as King is on the hard tire, and it is wearing a lot more than I would have expected, but he's probably pushing a lot harder than he would have expected as well to keep Nuko behind on the mediums, and that is costing Nuko nearly all of his medium tire behind King, so that's definitely costing him a bit, and it's allowing Viper to get back into this race as well. So by the last few laps here, we might have an extra factor in this equation here, and those 3 positions could end up in any order by the end of the race.
Definitely, yeah, and I think this battle for P4 has really got spicy here with turning up that Scoville level as this fight continues on. King getting pretty much everything he bargained for out of those hard tires. The pace differential hasn't been that bad really from the hards, but a bit of a wiggle there coming through the chicane there. That's going to be a bit of a tough one. Nuko does go a bit wide, it looked like, so I think he'll get away with that one. I don't think there'll be a penalty coming his way, but if it does, then that is going to be Viper getting another spot. But here's the thing. King is in an interesting position because if he's thinking about the team battle, King is going to want Nuko to stay right behind him, so he doesn't want to absolutely run away from Nuko and put him in the clutches of Viper. Because if Viper passes, it's going to make things a lot more difficult in the Constructors battle.
Right.
So you really got to try to think about, it's a lot of things you got to think about while racing, but I think right now it's pretty much just King just putting that Acura into P4 and just keeping it there, really. Because Nuko doesn't have the tires to fight it.
It's a very interesting scenario given that King is doing his best to keep Nuko behind. But other than that, King would want Nuko to do as well as possible outside of, beating him, of course. So both EXO and Acura kind of rooting for Nuko right now to stay ahead of their mutual rival in the Foxhound car of Viper, who just picked up a half-a-second penalty. That's going to make it a little bit easier for Nuko.
Yeah, and actually, wait. Oh, Viper's got a penalty. Yeah, Viper's got a penalty, so that's going to give a bit of breathing room there for both Nuko and King, as their battle still rages on with 3 laps to go. And if you're the race leader, you got 2 left now. Whiteout race leader does start the penultimate lap of the Grand Prix here at Watkins Glen. Here in good old upstate New York. He is going to go ahead and continue his dominant run here around the Glen. Qualifying was close, but the race has pretty much just been Whiteout's domain, really. He's just checked out. Alex now still having a really good run. Illusion having a good run as well. As King is... Here's the thing though, King is... actually, he's not faster per lap than Illusion. Never mind, ignore that. Viper's in the pits. So Viper's going to go for that fastest lap. That's going to be Viper's main goal now, to get that fastest lap. Going to get just enough fuel where he can full push. So he has decided to give up on chasing down Nuko, and he's just going to try to get the extra point from going for the fastest lap. So that'll be at least 1 extra point to the Foxhound Speed Group if he can get it. He does have clear air.
Whiplash being overtaken by another lapped car again.
And he's got damage too, so...
Yeah.
Foxhound's just had a rough go of it today, haven't they?
Yeah, I was even going to say maybe Viper lets his teammate by and then kind of slows down even to build a gap for a true quali lap style of lap here, because the gaps behind are going to be so big. But given that little battle at Whiplash had with another lapped car, it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. But luckily for Viper, he does have enough clean air ahead that he will be able to do a proper push lap, so long as Dennis doesn't catch up and put him under pressure before then. But I think that Viper should be fine given his pace. And so he does look like he has a little over a quarter of his overtake left too, so that should be enough. The current fastest lap time being held by your race leader, Whiteout, with a 1:20.4. That's a very beatable time, especially with low fuel and a brand new set of soft tires. I don't even think that Viper's going to need that much overtake to get it done either. This is definitely just a prep lap to get those tires warmed up too. So, oh, he's already on the overtake. Oh, okay, now he's starting the lap. And given that he is setting this attempt on the final lap of the race too, if he does successfully take away this fastest lap point, nobody else will be able to have a chance to rebuttal.
Yeah, exactly that. And As Whiteout makes his way across the line now, he'll take win number 2 of the season. Whiteout wins the New York Grand Prix. A very strong drive there from the championship leader, extending his lead. Alex comes home in a very strong P2. It is a double podium for Exodus Motorsports. Very well done there as he teleports across the line. Major P coming home in P8. Lucian will be in the next one. We're going to check in on Viper to see if he can go ahead and get this fastest lap done. Oh, he's up by a second, so I think Viper...
Yeah.
Unless he gets a penalty in one of these... Unless he gets a penalty in one of these remaining corners, he should have it. Pretty simple, as now there's J-Mark just ahead, and he just takes the dart on by. And yeah, he's up by 1.2. He's got this one pretty much bagged up, so that's an extra point for Viper, who's currently P2 in the championship, as well as in the Constructors' Championship, still trying to chase down that P2. He gets the fast up at the end.
By over a second.
Just slightly ruining Whiteout's Grand Slam potential, as Whiplash is going to finish the race with damage, and he'll be the last one to cross the line.
Yeah, and a really good showing there from King No Skill to be able to stay ahead of Nuco for that whole entire final portion of the race on the inferior speed of tire, and actually showing kind of similar tire wear. I figured that if King No Skill could keep ahead of Illusion from Nuco just long enough for his tires to start going, then that tire advantage between the two would kind of settle itself out there, as it did. What a race, and congrats to Whiteout for winning once again here at Watkins Glen.
Alright, indeed, and we're going to go ahead and run through our results here before we wrap things up. So it is going to be at the podium. King getting a very strong P4 result here. Very good results for the top 2 teams in the Constructors. And then it is Nuco, Viper, Whiplash, May JP. And then we have F16, J-Mart, Dennis, Duckadono, Rogue, and the Tall Man, who retired about midway through the race. So that's going to go ahead and wrap things up here. It has been a fun race here at Watkins Glen. It was a long one, but it was a fast and furious race indeed. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And before we wrap up here officially, B23, any final thoughts?
Well, that just made it even closer in the Constructors' Championship. All I know for sure is that if you guys haven't already, you're going to want to like and subscribe to this channel here and follow us on Instagram at Grand Prestige League so you don't miss any of the updates. We put out the standings and everything, so you will know exactly what to expect for the following rounds. And it's going to be a long season for the rest of the year. We got a lot of good action coming, so you're not going to want to miss it.
Indeed, I agree with that one, and thank you guys so much for tuning on in, and tune in next time when we head to Belgium for the first sprint weekend. But before then, next week we got another trip around Watkins Glen for round number 3 of the Sprint World Tour. On behalf of B23, my name is Patrick Coleman, aka Reckus, and I have been your host and we have been your hosts and commentators.